Today I'm with my family, beautiful wife Christine, daughter Abigail, and Tumbiko, my son. Our last daughter is home. She's not doing coronation. I hope she does. She's doing homework. So thank you very much. I just want to talk a little bit about myself. Originally, we are from Zambia, and we are Zambians. If you want me to revise the geography, Zambia is in the sub-Saharan Africa, specifically on the southern part. Got independent in 1964 from the British, and now we are on our own. So that's where I was born, and in a village called Lundazi. So my parents relocated to a city, Lusaka, and we grew up there from a family of 8. I had elder brothers and sisters. I am the 7th one, and almost at the end. So I have a younger sister. So today I want to just talk about my life in Zambia briefly. So in 1990 or the 1990s, what happened was that the nation suffered a crisis, financial crisis. And this was under the dictate of the IMF, because they had to tell the government to restructure, to, change things here and there, So what that entailed was that many people had to lose their jobs. You know what it means when the companies are restructuring? Okay, if you want us to help you, if you want us to, look into this debt accordingly, you need to trim down. You need to, lay off some people. And this affected a lot of households. It affected a lot of families. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, as though that were not enough, it was the HIV and AIDS situation had just, hit, and it was at its, not hit, it was at its peak. It was escalating in the 1990s. And that meant some of the family heads, instead of going for work, they had to remain behind because they are sick, or every day they're at the hospital. And because of that, they were laid off. So that means a lot of people lost school places. I mean, the children weren't able to go to school because that time the government had not introduced free education. You had to pay. There was a fee. And a lot of children dropped off school. So this is what happened. Together with a group of people from a church that we were attending, we said, we are going to educate these kids. We are going to start a school for them. We want to make sure that they're able to read. They are missing out. This led me to resign from a job. I was working as a salesperson, as, if you want, a petrol attendant at a gas station. And from that gas station, I survived 2 killings. I mean, I was at gunpoint. We were working in the night, and this guy just drives in and says, hey, can you fill my tank? I go to the door to receive the money. He says, hey, out of here. First time. Second time, we were just resting at the backyard. Somebody comes and says, hey, give us all the money, give us all the money. And we had to do that. Guess what? I was saved from that. And I believe that it was for a reason. I believe that God had something in store for me. He saved my life. And I left that job not because of those guns, not because of that threat, but because we saw the kids that were unable to go to school. We went around the neighborhood. We went around, the community, and we said, hey, come to this school. We are going to start a school at Jesus Army Church. Come. And we started a school in a makeshift kind of arrangement in terms of infrastructure, in terms of building. And there were 50 children that appeared on the very first day. So, long story short, these children were written off. These children were unable, to read. By the way, it's either a child that's dropped out of school because of money, like I'm saying, or just a silly thing like without shoes. And we were like, come to school. without shoes, as long as you want to learn. So we gave them an opportunity to learn. So the first 3 years of operation, this is what we did. It was free, and all the teachers were voluntary. I was one of the teachers, as a matter of fact, leading these teachers on a voluntary basis. How did we survive? By faith. The Bible says the righteous shall live by faith. And we were doing other things to make ends meet, but it was difficult. But we had to go on. We had to go on, and we continued because we had these children at heart. Later, we started collecting fees. These fees, ladies and gentlemen, were little to nothing. So when we collect the money, we used to put it together, buy supplies. The remainder, we would share amongst ourselves. Many a times, I would be the last person to receive that. I just give other people. I don't know why that was happening, but we continued. We hung on in there. We hung in there. And the Lord is faithful, and he came through. And he helped us. So there was no money. The little that we got, we didn't call it a salary even. It was just an allowance. Yeah? But if you are on school break, there is no allowance. There is nothing. But with a joy, we continued. And this is what was happening. We were not just looking at life in the classroom or in the school. We had life beyond. This is how come sometimes I'd receive a knock. We didn't have no cell phones. Yes? We didn't have, only a few people that had cell phones. The privileged that time, in the 90s. And knock at our door in the night, in the middle of the night, and somebody says, I have no food. And this is a parent to the child who comes to school. We only know them by virtue of the child coming to our school. And they think, well, I can find help there. But there is no help. So what do? You sacrifice the little that you have and give it to the people that come. So in Zambia, we also started a church. And the church that we started was actually full of the kids that we were serving, because most of them didn't know the Lord. They didn't have a relationship with God. They didn't have. And we started a church. The church was already there, but we planted another one. Most of them came to that church and their parents. So we pastored that church up to 2012, from 2005. I had to leave Zambia. I was leading the school up to, from 1998, that's when it started. And then in 2012, I left the school to come and work in Hong Kong. I joined Crossroads Foundation. And in Crossroads Foundation, one thing that I wasn't feeling good whenever I see a wheelchair. I avoided touching a wheelchair because when I was leaving Zambia, my father was bound to a wheelchair, and he blessed me. And he said, go well, my son. If I had strength, I was going to jump up off this wheelchair to take you to the airport. And you know what? A father's blessing is important. And he says, God bless you. Go well. And with that, I had to come to Hong Kong in joy. But whenever I see a wheelchair, I would, I remember my father, but listen to me. You need to be obedient. I said, okay, I'm going to clean this wheelchair. I'm going to prepare it, and I will put it on the container that is going to go to Moldova. that is going to go to the Philippines, the container that is going to go to an African country, for I know how it is going to help. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I've been on either side. One side where we receive a container, and on the other side where we pack a container. And when we pack that container, you know the impact that it is going to have. You know the impact. You know the lives. You know how many children are going to be touched because of the container that you're packing. As a result, you go for it. You serve. I love wheelchairs, man. From that time, the trauma that I had was like, okay, fine. It is important that I pass through this thing so that I can understand what other people need. How it helped my father. I know that I want to step into the shoe of another man that needs a wheelchair. For this matter, I'm going to clean it. And when I send it out of Hong Kong, I want it received with dignity. And I continued serving in Crossroads. I continued, I used to go in homes. Sometimes people come to my office and say, we want a bunk bed, but they don't know how to assemble it. I just go an extra mile. I go home later, and my wife says, hey, where were you? I said, honey, there was this lady. She has 3 children, and they're living in this house, and they don't even know how to assemble a bunk bed. Listen, when you give somebody a piece of furniture, your job should end there. But if you listen to the inner voice, you cannot stay. You want to go an extra mile. Okay, so I just want to tell you something about the refugees, and I'll share a few stories, and then we'll go on and look at a few verses. 2 weeks ago, Dr. Susanna was able to give us a demographic situation in terms of, life in Hong Kong. She did emphasize how there is this gap between the poor and the rich, how that it is widening. I want to believe that it's world over, right? These things are happening world over, not just in Hong Kong, but specifically to Hong Kong. She gave us these demographics. And I want to add to it that among those people that she was describing are refugees. Trust me, refugees are even worse. They're even worse. You heard how Pastor John just, introduced that scenario of refugees not being allowed to work, of refugees, being not allowed even to line up for a dialysis, whatever medical condition that is, procedure. Just to line up. They don't even have that right. I want to emphasize today that what Dr. Susanna was saying includes the refugees. Let me take this opportunity to thank KFCI for having, supported Branches of Hope. I know you have supported Branches of Hope, and thank you so much. God bless you. God bless the work of your hand. And so let me just tell you a few stories about these refugees that I have an opportunity to talk with. On March 6, there was... do you want to go back to that? Go back to that, okay. Yeah, just a start. Come back to that later. March 6, this woman called Kay, she walks into the office and she comes to my desk and says, hey, Mr. Green, at least that's what they call me Mr. Green. And she's like, Mr. Green, I would like to have some baby clothes. I would like to have some baby diapers, baby wet wipes, and so on and so forth. And she just gave me a wish list. And I made an appointment for her to go and pick up, because, as Branches of Hope, we work with other organizations that we can collaborate with. For instance, those people that are going to do legal services, we don't have the capacity. Okay, we have very little capacity in terms of in-kind donation, and we refer them. And the first place we refer them to was Crossroads. And the appointment is fixed. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. She calls me and she says, hey, Mr. Green, can we change this appointment to at least April? I said, okay. And then it was changed. She calls me again and say, can we change this appointment up to May? What is it with the changing of appointments? Is there a problem? And she says, yes, Mr. Green, my baby is in the hospital. I said, oh, when did she go there? She said, she was born 6 months ago. In fact, 4 months ago. That's what she told me. And she has never been home. This baby has never been home. This is how come I'm postponing. This is how come I'm just deferring. Because when I don't have anywhere to put these things when I receive them. Because I'm sharing with my 2 friends. I'm in a shared space. This is where I live. And my baby cannot come to that space. When I get my baby out of the hospital, I'm going to start living with the father in Kunta. I said, oh, so are you separated? And then she says, actually, I'm only hoping that the baby's father would take her on because she's already married to another woman. Not only are we separated, but she's married to another woman. I said, oh, really? Then I called her again. This time around, it was actually on April 5th. I called her. I said, hey, Kay, how are you doing? How is your baby this time? You know, she prefers to do an audio. And she said, Mr. Green, my baby is still sick. My baby is now on oxygen. I am afraid. I don't know what is going to happen. I said, does your father visit? The father visit? No. Only my 2 friends. No other person visits me. And she is on oxygen. I'm afraid, Mr. Green. You know what? When you hear such kind of a thing, you're moved by compassion. You're moved. Remember what Pastor John was telling us about compassion, that the Greek word for compassion is splanchnizomai. Splanchnizomai. It's not just an ordinary thing. It's something that you feel inside of you, in the deeper ends of your body. Your bowels, they move. And when that thing happens to you, you cannot just stand still. When this thing happens to you, ladies and gentlemen, you want to do something. If this thing happens to you, if something begins to move here, I wonder whether you're going to sit and fold your hands. And I was like, oh, I don't have money. I'm not a medical doctor. What am I going to do? I know I have something in me. Of course, I was not telling her that. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. I said, can I pray for her? And she said, yes, Mr. Green. And I prayed, I'm like, Father God, in the name of Jesus, this baby has been, sick, has been in this hospital, and the mother has been waiting. You know how long she's been waiting. Please, Lord, heal her. And I am praying. And the lady starts to sob afterwards, and she's like, thank you, Mr. Green. By the way, she's a Muslim. But I pray that the Lord is going to touch her one day. I pray that the Lord is going to, come through for her and that she is going to turn to him. Listen, then I called her again. Like, this was just on 4th May, before yesterday. I said, hey, how is the baby? I said, Mr. Green, the baby is fine. But she had COVID. Yeah, she had COVID from the hospital. She stayed in the hospital. By the way, it's Queen Mary. We're not discrediting the hospital. They did all they could. The baby was, but we thank God because, it's something that is inevitable, when you confine like that. So she said, the baby is fine. But the doctor says, after recovering from COVID, soon she's going to come home. However, they give me a condition. You cannot take this baby to a shared space. You need to find your own space. Now, how is she going to make it? I know that the government, through the social welfare, they provide housing, allowance and everything, and it's just little. You and me know, it's very little. It's meager, very little. But she said, now I have problems, I don't know what to do. The father won't accept this baby because we're divorced. This baby is so beautiful. Her name is Fiaza. Look at that baby, so beautiful. But this baby needs your prayer. I want to tell you another family. I called them Mother N and their 2 sons. I was careful not to write M-O-M-N, like Mom N. I wanted to be English. So, Mother N and her 2 sons. One son is 6 years and the other one is 8 years. As a matter of fact, Pastor John, if you remember, I talked about a boy called Siam. This is the same family. I'm not just, it seems I'm just connected to them. Not intentionally. It just happens. So this is on the 13th of April. Oh, by the way, before I go there, I am walking, I'm going to work, Branches of Hope, and we're at the traffic lights, we're waiting to cross. As we cross, I realized a boy is on the phone, and I got concerned. I said, hey, what's happening? Let me see who this boy is and who the mother is. It so happens that it was the boy that I know, Siam. And this boy, this time around, he's in the company of his sibling, the 3. And hello. And then they were going to Branches of Hope for the program that I ran together with my colleagues. And then I said, how come today you're coming with 2 children? How come there are 3 of you? And he said, you know what, Mr. Green? Because there's no one at home to remain with the other child. Because only last night, we took the father to the airport. Because immigration was like, come right now. Pack your bags right now. I don't know about you. Some of you might know about the removal policy. Things have changed. If your claim is not accepted there and then, there's not going to be any appeal. You don't know when you're going to go. People are living in fear. We've just been hearing these things. And I have seen this firsthand. One family that I'm dealing with separated just like that. And then on the 13th I think 1 week later, this thing happened. The children are playing, and the 2 children are playing, and they smash a window. The child had 10 stitches. At 9 p.m., they called an ambulance, and the child was in hospital for 2 days. And there is no one to take the other child, the older one, to school, because the mother has to attend to the one that is in the hospital. If she goes to school, if she takes the boy to school, that means, she's not going to visit the hospital, as it were. You know the schedule in Hong Kong where schools are concerned. And so he has to tag along to go to the hospital when the mother is going to nurse. Ladies and gentlemen, when I look at this, she said, oh, Mr. Green, I'm so scared because the landlord is going to ask me to repair, and I don't have no money. And I haven't even told the landlord about what happened because she's going to say, pay right away, repair it. What am I going to do? Branches of Hope has got no budget for such things sometimes. I go online and I search. I find an organization called Build and Wish. And I call them. I said, I have this problem. And they said, okay, Where is it? I said, it's in Jordan. And then they said, okay, I'm going to send you a form to fill. Sorry, it's in Chinese. You need somebody to help you translate it. And then he said, oh, by the way, you need to pay us 300. We're not rich people. There are people that go around Hong Kong. Maybe you know them. The people go around Hong Kong, they renovate poor people's property or living space. Poor people don't own property, but they're renting. So they renovate for them. And I reached out to these guys, and they said, yes, we're going to do it, but you need to give us 300. They said it's administrative or appreciation fees or something like that. Look, when people are struggling like that, my heart breaks. You see how the window is broken there? I don't know what breaks yours. I don't know what breaks your heart. But such situations are the situations that break my heart to pieces. And God helps to bring those pieces together. God helps to bring those pieces together, and He helps. You know, I want you to know that these are some of the people that we serve. So I'm just praying that help is going to come for this woman. She's now alone with the children. Very quickly, the next one, okay. The next one is Mother A and Son. Mother A and Son T. They need glasses. Every time, the child goes for an assessment and they just give them a prescription and they say it's very expensive. And the mother, the same. Ladies and gentlemen, only yesterday I had the privilege to go into the living space. Forget about the glasses, forget about the prescription. But one thing that really broke my heart, I was telling my family last night, I was late. I'm late. I'm leaving the office late. And this woman just comes and says, Mr. Greeny, come, Mr. Greeny, come. I don't know how to measure. I want to, she's receiving a wardrobe from Crossroads. But she says, I want to measure because I don't know how to measure. She's uneducated, with all due respect. She can't use a tape measure. I said, look, I am late. I'm running late. What do you do in such cases? You just go. And I went. I was holding my tears back, not because of what she told me. When we entered the house, I thought we were still going to the house. We are yet to enter the house. But she says, we're here. And she says, sorry, Mr. Green, our house is small. And T, the son, was like, Mr. Green, how do you like my place? Everything is just in one place. And she says, I don't like it. I said, you know what, T? Other people do not have a roof over their head. They sleep on the street. You've got to be thankful. But listen to me, I was holding my tears back because the space is like this. A small cube. Okay, a small cube. And I'm like, where is she going to put the wardrobe? So I measured and I sent it to Crossroads. This morning I was saying, these are the dimensions for 2 centimeters, 199 high, and 45 centimeters wide, deep 42 centimeters. These are the people that we serve. These are the people that are in Hong Kong. Yes, they're refugees in Hong Kong, and the situations are very hard. Why we serve? Why do we serve? I just want to share a few biblical reasons, 3 as a matter of fact, why we serve. So I wanted to say serving is an act of submission. You cannot serve if you do not submit yourself to the lordship of Jesus Christ. You cannot serve. Now, even if you are already a Christian and if you have a prompt to serve, and you're not submissive, it's difficult to serve. If you're going to serve for the sake of to serve for the sake of it, you're going to grow weary. You're going to grow tired. You're going to seek people's praise. I don't care who is looking at me. I don't care who is clapping or not. I have to serve because I have to submit. Let's read a couple scriptures here. Serving is an act of submission. Before we read the one on the screen, this one is not on the screen, it's 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 8. Finally, all of you, be like-minded, be sympathetic, love one another, be compassionate and humble. We're not reading that one. Pastor John has alluded to it, and it's been going, and it's up up on the screen there. All right, but I wanted to say, we need to submit ourselves to Christ, and we need to humble ourselves. When we humble ourselves, we are taking the Christ-like trait. We become more like Jesus. We become more like him. I'm here to encourage you to say, when you submit, you're going to put others first. When you submit, you're not going to put your interests in front of others. It is going to be others than you. Like Jesus is our perfect example. He submitted himself. He humbled himself up to the cross. Death, even death on a cross. I want to encourage you, ladies and gentlemen, that when you take that attitude, you are going to begin shifting. I want to believe that there are so many times that we have been called to volunteer, and only a few people come to volunteer. That's fine. I want you to realize that when you're humble enough, automatically you are going to shift from being served to serving others. Automatically you are going to shift from a situation of being first, but then you're going to let others go before. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to encourage you that what we need is a paradigm shift in the model of being served, from the model of being served to the model of serving others. I want to encourage you. You have to learn to be humble. I have to learn to be humble. After that, I will, serve. This is submission. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, submission is not compliance. Some people just submit for the sake of. You're only complying. You're not obeying. Jesus Christ obeyed. He obeyed. Ladies and gentlemen, I pray that there's going to be a shift in your life. I pray there's going to be a shift in your life. I pray there's going to be a shift in my life. That shift from me first to others first. That shift from I don't know what to do. That shift from being asked, can I do something, to can I do something for you? The other point I want to share is serving speaks. Serving speaks. When you serve, you're actually sending a message about the love of God, about salvation. Of course, I want to emphasize that serving people does not save people. But in a way, they must just come to you and say, oh, you're a Christian. No wonder. People come and say, hey, how do you survive without a salary in Crossroads? And then they come and say, you're a Christian. I say, yes, I'm a Christian. You don't need to blow a trumpet. I am a Christian. Ba, 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 ba. No, they see what you do. Your action will speak. Your serving will speak. I have a lot of people coming to me and say, are you a Christian? I say, yes. And they say, no wonder. And I say, how do you know? And then they say, I can tell. The other day, I'm just, if you are submissive, if you are serving, You don't need an announcement. People will know you. They will know you're a Christian. I don't know whether you do this in this church. Just tell the next person seated to you, they will know you. Oh yes, they will know you. Let's read the scripture there. Can I have a scripture come up? Matthew chapter 5. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good work and glorify your Father which is in heaven. You may not evangelize, ladies and gentlemen. You may not know how to speak, ladies and gentlemen. You may not have money to give, ladies and gentlemen. But whatever little you do, it counts. It might draw someone to Christ and glorify our Father which is in heaven. Let your light so shine. Don't hide the light. Everyone here has something to do. We've heard this over and over. We have been equipped. And the last point, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say, when you serve, you are but keeping what has been entrusted unto you. Serving is stewardship. Listen, if you have been given something to keep, it is not yours. If you are being entrusted with something, you've got to take care of it. And how do we take care of what God has given unto us? We take care by serving others with it. We take care of what God has given unto us by, blessing others. I remember a niece of mine in Zambia. She's so prayerful, very young. And she goes in the community. She finds people that are sick. And then she washes them. These are people that are living alone. She washes them. She does the dishes. She does the cleaning and everything, the laundry. She did this for a long time. And she had very good results. And somebody just came to her and said, hey, I'm looking for somebody to employ as a housemaid, as a house help. And my niece was employed. And this kind woman looked at her and said, Esnat, what do you want to do in life? Do you have your school results? And she produced the school results and said, these are good results. How come you're not doing nothing? And she says, I have no money to go to college. And she says, okay, what do you want to do? I want to do nursing. Not because she wants to do nursing for the sake of it, but it is in her heart. That's a gift. She wants to keep this gift as a steward by passing on unto others. And God expanded her. Instead of serving a few people, she's going to serve a lot of people that are walking into the hospital. What God has given us should be used to the benefit of others. We need to bless others with what has been entrusted. Luke 12, verse 48, and then we'll be done. But the one who did not know allow me to turn. But the one who did not know and did what deserved a beating will receive a light beating. Everyone to whom much was given, of much will be required. And from him to whom they entrusted much, they will demand more. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say, if you have a greater gift, if you have a great gift, your responsibility should be great. If you have a greater one, your responsibility should be greater. It's not for you to keep. It's not for you to enjoy. It's for you to pass on to others. It's for you to serve others. It's for you to obey and go with it and say, somebody needs to benefit from this. To whom much is given, much is required. KFC, you have been equipped. Much has been offloaded by people that are coming, by Pastor John and other pastors in this church They have equipped. They keep to equip. So that equipping is not for the sake of us receiving, but we need to go out there so that we are strengthened, so that other people can benefit. Much has been given, and it's time to stand. It's time to go. I want to encourage you to do something. Having heard all these things in Hong Kong, elsewhere, what are you going to do about it? Listen to me. There is something that you can do. I remember Pastor John said, you can start from somewhere. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we started a makeshift school. We started from somewhere. Incomplete buildings, and we started. Do you know? Those kids that passed through those dirty walls, some of them are doctors today. Some of them are teachers today. Remember I said these are children that were written off. It took submission. It took realization that we need to speak. It took realization that we need to be stewards. So you can do something. You can start from somewhere. Right now, if you have a phone, this is the only time that you're going to be allowed, I guess, to use a phone in the church. I would like you to grab a phone. Take it out now. Let's do this. If you want to mark a time when you will pray for any cause that, is dear to your heart, mark it. Set a calendar. Make an alarm. Whether you want to pray for the refugees, or maybe you want to pray for this mother that I've been sharing about. It could be baby, it could be the mother. Pray for their salvation. Pray for healing. Pray for resources. Pray that their needs be met. The other thing that you can do is to just educate yourself. You see what I did? I went online and said, which organizations can do repair works for people free? And I found this one. You can do the same. I'm not saying you should find organizations that help people. Find organizations that you can help. Organizations that you can be a part of, to work in, to partner with, or even to pray for. Educate yourself. That's what I did. Thankfully, I found Build and Wish. So do research. Having done that, you need to just, say, okay, I want to volunteer. Get involved. Do something. Whatever you do, in summary, I want to say, serving is an act of submission. Serving speaks. Serving is stewardship. And all these things is all about Jesus. It's all about Jesus. It's all about Jesus. It's all about Jesus, and it's going to give you the inner peace. It's all about Jesus. Saved people serve. Thank you very much.